should be live, or at least getting close to live in just a second. I'm starting up Hollow Knight now, and let's take a look and see if we have any quality options. We do, so less of a frustrating start this morning. I don't hear... Oh, there we go. I wasn't sure if I heard the game. I have been having a little bit of difficulty with my headphones lately. And I suspect that there will be fairly straightforward fixes to that. It could also be a problem with my computer in general. But I have, just because I've been running into a few of these little difficulties, I'm always a bit cautious. The ones that will always take the stream down will be problems with the upload, for reasons that probably don't require elaboration. It can sometimes be that if there are audio problems, particularly as relates to what source Windows is picking up to transmit to, it can sometimes cause OBS to switch the where the audio's being directed. And so far as I can tell, if I go into settings, I can't change that without resetting the stream. So again, if that happens, say, an hour or two into a broadcast, it might mean I need to take the thing down. And generally that is very disruptive and makes me unhappy, and I suspect probably viewers unhappy as well. And then I still have this problem. It seems to be browser related, but it does seem like all of my available RAM slowly gets consumed, particularly after I open Chrome. Now, I'm convinced that there's some kind of virus or other form of malware which has just not been detected. But I mean, I have an antivirus. I've been doing a lot to try and find out what's going wrong. I mean, short of just completely reformatting and reinstalling everything, I've done everything that I can to try and find the answer to that. But as the case is, I settle for just every time I'm limited in terms of what I keep open. And usually I just reset my computer. I probably should do it before a broadcast, but I always do it after a broadcast. And none of that I suppose you really need to know, but those are a few things that have caused problems with streams, and ones that I want to try and deal with. Can't believe it's been 77 hours in this game. It's a very enjoyable game. But we are going to be doing some more Hollow Knight tonight, as I'm sure you've already figured out. We didn't really push the completion number all that much further. We did, of course, finish the Path of Pain, but that didn't seem to count towards our number. I think probably what I'm going to be focusing on are... So my original plan had been to go pick up the grubs, because I think the grubs are going to be a really good way for me to just sort of find some of the, the hidden areas that I haven't checked out. And of course, there will probably still be more of the game for me to check out, but it just seems to be a very natural place for me to go. So we've got one grub in the Forgotten Crossroads. We've got one in a hidden area to the right of Deep Nest or below the Fungal Wastes. And then we've got one in sort of an area that I rather suspected was a secret area. Now we've sort of verified that it's there because of the pin. But it does look like there's only 3 more grubs to go, and I suspect one of those will wind up being a mimic. So, and then we'll take a visit back to the father. So hopefully we get that done tonight. At some point I do need to return back to the carnival, or to Bram. And then, what else? I guess I need to try and hunt down a few of the things in my, like my monster library, that I haven't checked out yet. So yeah, a few details. Obviously, the Hollow Knight itself, I want to hold off until I've gotten either to the 112%, well, whatever 112% minus whatever the Hollow Knight gives you, which technically I guess I won't really know. That might be something I look up just to make sure that I've got the whole thing. But I think probably... Yeah, I don't know. I think it's probably best that I just focus on the grubs for starters. I do need to get a certain amount of money. I should probably double check that, actually. I know she's going to shame me for not having enough cash, but... Again, you're so greedy for gifts. Poor little lovely. Give me your Geo, and I will give you your gift. All right. No Geo? Why? Why don't you have enough Geo? Okay. So yeah, I think probably grabbing the grubs is going to be the best way that I can sort myself out as far as. Hey, Mushroom Sis, how you doing? And I think I'll live with this loadout. So my normal inclination would be to go to the would be to go to the stagways, but I actually think it's not bad for me to just to walk to all the destinations, because that'll give me some combat opportunities to slowly creep up that amount of Geo. If I need to, I can also sell off some stuff, but for now I'm settling with my normal activities. I'm sorry to hear it's been, well, I'm happy for the ups, but sorry to hear that it was a bit of a mixed day at best. I don't know what I thought I was going to accomplish with that, but hopefully, if nothing else, I can provide. It would overstate my abilities to say that I could improve your day, but I hope at the very least I can offer you some distractions. If you want to talk about it, please feel free to talk. I mean, it's a little weird in a Twitch context to encourage people to open up, because, like, obviously I'm effectively a stranger to pretty much most of the people who will be watching. But if it helps to vent, please don't feel a need to hold back. Okay, so there's only so many times I can do that before it becomes unhealthy. Oh, you know what? Here's an idea. All right, well, I tried. So the only answer I've really got to those guys is a Hadouken, which I realize is not the name for it, but I really want to call it that. I'm a good stranger, though. Thank you, Night Valiant. How you doing tonight? And for those of you who do not know him or are not familiar with his work yet, Yakuza. Night Valiant has been going through the Yakuza series on his channel lately. Somebody I do tend to host at the end of a broadcast. Just the hours tend to work rather well, and he's a fairly safe pair of hands to keep in. I mean, it is a tricky one sometimes. Okay. I wasn't sure if this was going to be a proper fight or not. So it makes me wonder if I've missed out on something. Oh no, it's just a standard fight that I could have gone back to anytime. But yeah, Night Valiant is. I mean, sometimes it's a question of necessity, like whoever's available at the end of a broadcast. But I did find Night Valiant through some games that I had been streaming. I do try and find people who are covering something that I've been playing. Just a chance to, I figure if people are going to be finding my broadcast sort of without prompting, it's likely because they've been searching for the game, and so being able to find someone who is playing a similar game is a safer bet. But on the other hand, if it's somebody who I think does a good broadcast, so somebody like Johnny Big Time or somebody like Night Valiant, it's that's one where you can sort of make the case. Just based on, what I think people's interests at the time might be. So, let me see. Well, it depends how far I go through the game. I mean, one of the big things for me is in one sense, this is going to seem very strange given the way that I stream games. My sort of standing order on any given game is to finish it as quickly as possible, which will, again, that's going to sound crazy given the amount of time that I sort of waste on things that are not directly related to completing the game. But what that just kind of, to me, that's sort of like in the absence of anything else. So if there's a funny bit during the game, or if there's something that I'm really enjoying, or if there's a conversation going on that I think is worth pursuing, and being in a lower pressure part of the of the game facilitates that conversation, I'm willing to sort of put the completing the game on the back burner. So in this case here, looking for grubs is related to finding secret areas that I previously had not detected. So in that case, it's a fairly good opportunity for me to get sort of familiarize myself again with some areas which maybe I had neglected or otherwise haven't been spending enough time on. Another thing that I could do that's not related to finding grubs, but is related to my completion level for the game, is to go through that monster, I keep calling it the monster manual, but that sounds like an RPG thing, to go through that manual and find examples of creatures which maybe I've encountered but I haven't done enough to get the special entry for. And then sort of in the absence of any other goal, then yeah, the job clearly is to... oh, that's right. Oh, that was not nearly as hard as I thought it was going to be. But yeah, in the, it's just one of these ones where I like variety. I like being able to play some games, particularly games that people have wanted me to play. But when I say that sort of my one goal is always to get through the game as quickly as possible, it's always in the spirit that that goal is going to be overridden by whatever else I run into at the moment. I don't learn. It's actually also as a confession, it's where I sometimes have a little trouble with some of the games that I enjoy playing the most. So games like Age of Wonders, Planetfall, or Civilization, they, whether or not it takes a very long time to go through a session, and generally I find for myself that I do take a while to get through a game of that. What is interesting to me is, like, how do you really say you're done with Civilization? Even if you get that particular session that you were playing finished, there's always the next level. There's always, or not the next, there's always like the next game. There's always another civilization to play. So, I played Brazil once, and then maybe now I want to do England, or maybe I want to play, maybe there's a new DLC that comes out, and I want to try another one of these. I forgot I don't have a way through that gate. Sad a little earlier because you tried to play guitar, but you're struggling to pluck the strings. Oh, is that like injury, or is that related just to something that you're specifically trying to do, or is this like you're just starting to learn and so having some trouble with the basics? Because if so, I actually have a lot of sympathy for that, given that I used to know how to play piano a lot better than I currently do, and I've not been putting in like the daily practice that I need to get back to where I was before. But that discouragement can be reinforcing, where I also am less I'm less inclined to practice because it's not like I know that I'm not doing it at the level that I really wanted. Which actually also fuels my other greater frustration, which is I hate it when I get into that frame of mind because I know it's not productive. And that's the one that actually really kills it. But no, I think I have a really good idea. You discovered you have hand tremor. Oh, I see. That is really sad to hear. So again, a lot of this is just a chance to... I've not been the most diligent in terms of picking up the Geo, but basically just trying to take out whatever easier enemies I can run into to pick up the Geo. This is actually why I've not been that bothered by getting hit by the explosions from the guys who charge you. Because again, it's not like I'm carrying a delicate flower. I'm carrying the... Or I'm trying to get some cash. And as long as I don't perish, I'm okay with... Okay, I'm okay losing a little bit of health. Oops. Watched a bunch of Marvel things. So here's the funny thing. I think I've seen a couple of Iron Man movies. But other than that, I haven't really seen Marvel stuff, and now there just seems to be so much of it that I'm not really sure if I'm not sure if I have to do any required homework before I experience the Marvel movies. What would be your approach to somebody who would like to participate in the larger cultural conversation, but really hasn't seen anything? I guess I saw Into the Spider-Verse. I don't know whether or not people count that or not. But yeah, if I were to try and educate myself in terms of the series, what would your favorites or your recommendations be? And am I just being silly, expressing concern about that? Age of Ultron? Okay. That's an Avengers movie, right? Oops. Okay, cool. Yeah. The really funny thing that's been happening with me is I have been watching a bunch of older stuff when, in fact, like, again, I expressed that, that desire to sort of catch up. Because, like, this is the thing. There's always going to be sort of a certain degree of snobbishness that winds up becoming socially acceptable. So it's like, I don't even have a TV. That sort of stuff, or, I don't watch Marvel. My tastes are too refined. I don't actually really like that, because it's sort of saying is like, I haven't bothered to inform myself about this thing I'm trashing. Now, with that in mind, if you know that you're not going to like the type of movie, I also don't think you should force yourself to sit through something you don't enjoy, but... I'm mostly pointing out Martin Scorsese here, who really feels like we should know what he's not watching. So I try to, if I can, I try to keep up to date as far as I can on this sort of thing. But on the other hand, I also realize there's a lot of really popular stuff that I'm not as familiar with. Now, I actually happen to have liked this show, so I'm at least familiar with some of it, but I never did finish it. But I've been watching the old medical drama House again. I've actually been really enjoying... There's an episode called The Tyrant, which had James Earl Jones in it, where the team winds up treating this autocratic sort of African leader. I don't think they say the country, but James Earl Jones does an incredible job in that I mean, everybody does a great job in it, but like James Earl Jones is really good. He's not Mufasa and he's not Darth Vader. He's like, oh yeah, this guy's this guy can act. So yeah, and that's just, I think one of the things about TV now is that there's just so much of it, and it's all really, really good. But it's really easy to miss out on stuff that people feel very strongly about, and for good reasons, because it's high quality. But I'm also in the I'm sort of in the boat where I really do not like the proliferation of subscription services. It's one of the reasons why I've never had cable. So I have Apple TV Plus because I bought an Apple product around the time they were giving a free year of it, and then they kept extending the free year. I think because the service seems to have done okay, but I don't think it quite took off the way that they were hoping it would. And so I think they've been slowly extending the trial, sort of waiting for their big headliner stuff like Foundation to come online. But through that, there's some series that I've really enjoyed out of it. Tehran is an interesting one. It's an Israeli TV show, sort of dealing with a... No, actually, there is a point of confusion that I actually have in that show. Oh, nuts! Sorry. I just got a message here. Okay, sorry about that. But yeah, so Tehran is about sort of this... I believe it's supposed to be an agent from Unit 8200. And so the thing is that some descriptions I hear say it's a Mossad agent, but 8200, I believe, is part of the Israeli Defense Forces, which is different from the Mossad. Again, it's not like I know Israeli national security like the back of my hand, so I'm sure I'm probably making mistakes here. But it's I thought, a really interesting spy thriller, very much focused around hacking and such. Their alternative history, I think that's probably their answer to Man in the High Castle, is For All Mankind. That's now into its second series. I really enjoyed For All Mankind. It's also by Ron Moore, so I used to work on Battlestar Galactica, which he's a showrunner on that. I say it's by Ron Moore. Clearly, all shows are the product of lots of people working on stuff, so I'm falling in that really bad habit of just attributing the hard work of lots of people to one person. But Ron Moore is a big name attached to that project, who was a showrunner on a series that I'd worked on. And then there's The Morning Show, which apparently is one of the more expensive TV shows that have been made. I'm assuming it's because of the talent that's attached to it. But actually, I rather like that one, especially because it's not normally the type of show that I would normally watch. But I definitely found it pretty engaging. So I was pretty happy with it. You only like subscription services because they can share it with 20 people. I heard Netflix was trying to get past that, actually. But for Marvel, you should watch Captain America and the Winter Soldier, the movies where it's all the Avengers and at least one Iron Man, WandaVision, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and Guardians of the Galaxy. Watching X-Men could be good too, but you don't have to understand the premise. Almost says, in regards to your own lack of TV, I don't live in an English-speaking country, but all the media you can consume is English. Oh, and Doctor Strange. Well, I like Benedict Cumberbatch, so... actually, for those of you who... So, Alec Guinness was in I think it was a BBC production of Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, and it's definitely a very slow TV series, but I think, anytime I'm able to see Alec Guinness as somebody other than Obi-Wan Kenobi is really nice. With all due respect to Star Wars, but Alec Guinness is definitely a lot more than the wise old man. I think we found the secret wall. But there was a modern version of it, a feature film starring Gary Oldman as George Smiley, and Benedict Cumberbatch plays Peter Grillum, who I don't know. I thought he did a really good job with that role. I must confess, I have not seen there. Oh wow! Are you kidding me? That's a really good trick. I thought there were just going to be two based off of the like two in total based off of the log. I also I quite like Sherlock Holmes, which sort of explains why I've been watching House. But obviously he was in the sort of the modern reimagining of Holmes for the BBC. So then he was also in The Imitation Game, I think. So yeah, I don't feel like Doctor Strange will be a hardship. Yeah, well, what I think is interesting about House is that, so, like, clearly, like, I'm not really able to, so, like, the thing is, I don't know enough about TV to, okay, I think this might just be an unlimited supply, which is great for Geo, but maybe I need to cool it for the, so I can't say exactly when this sort of stuff happened, but you've got sort of a few different types of television. So you've got something like The Twilight Zone, or like Black Mirror, which I think is supposed to be a modern kind of imagining of that. But basically, they're all of these isolated stories. It's kind of like getting a book of short stories, and you just kind of you get to go on a crazy ride for a little while. But whatever connection happened, any connection between the episodes is sort of incidental or otherwise not really designed to be something that you put too much, thought into. Then you've got, then you've got some series where clearly there are different episodes and there might be an arc for the overall series, but it's maybe not so necessary for you to follow every last development. So, House kind of, I feel like that one sort of, I kind of feel like that one is just on the border of it, because clearly, like this, the season I'm watching now definitely seems to be relying on a few events that had occurred, in episodes before. So there is, a little bit of a continuity going on. But as you say, like whenever you say something's formulaic, like usually the reason that will be for a TV show is because they sort of want to make it in such a way that people are able to, enjoy seeing. You can be a fan of the show and you're hooked in and you'll watch it regularly. But they also want to be able to acquire new viewers, and so you don't feel like you have to. You don't feel like you have to sit through 4 or 5 seasons to understand what's going on in whatever episode you're watching today. And then I think, again, this is my guess, but I think HBO really pioneered sort of what a lot of TV is now, which is sort of embracing the fact that you can in fact tell these long form stories, a little bit like the way like Charles Dickens would write his stories. You have these entries that get written in a paper and then maybe later compiled into a book, but you wouldn't imagine reading that part way through. You would read the story start to finish. And so far as I can tell, the first one that really seemed to do that for HBO was Oz, although it seems to be that The Wire and The Sopranos kind of get all the credit for it. But I believe Oz predated it, and I think is probably one of the... I feel it at least is a very good contender for being the one that really sort of drove that type of storytelling into the mainstream. As with anything, I'm sure there's probably some earlier cases that maybe didn't necessarily catch on as readily. Like, if you think about video game subscription services, you can actually go back to the 80s and find that. No, I didn't mean that as a... I didn't take you as meaning that as a negative thing. But obviously now, a lot of the quality of TV, I think, has actually been driven by the fact that people are willing to embrace this as sort of a format in which you can tell these longer form stories. I mean, again, it sort of creates it creates a small drawback because, the things that people want to share, now it kind of carries with it this cost of like, oh, there we go. It carries with it this cost that is like, okay, you got 6 episodes of homework you need to do, but when you get to episode 7, that's really going to blow your mind. And of course it's, maybe you don't want to spend 7 hours watching something. Again, it's also a matter of taste, right? Like, honestly, I also think movies are getting too long. I really wish that like 90 to 2 hour run times would be the norm. I have not seen Elementary. Like Legion, it's something you want to watch at some point, but where you can legally get high. Legion? What's Legion? Oh, I mean, okay, so, and we just got an achievement, Metamorphosis, which says, rescue all the imprisoned grubs. All right, that was quicker than expected. So I'm going to head up back to, well, close to the, close to the surface, so I can collect my rewards there. Yeah, so like, I'm quite a fan of Ridley Scott. And I feel like Ridley Scott is kind of like the patron saint of director's cuts. Not only because of, what happened with Blade Runner, but he seems to be somebody who did, and again, he's not the only director, but he's definitely one that I can really like think of who, in terms of, when you used to get things on DVD or Blu-ray, usually if there was a Ridley Scott movie, there'd be a good director's commentary. There would usually not just be some deleted scenes, but there would be an alternative version, which was maybe a little bit more suitable to home viewing. There, and that happens a lot. I mean, like, so some of his others, like, I don't think you're ever going to see like some sort of director's cut of like a good year, let's say, which is it's like a, man has midlife crisis and finds the true meaning of happiness in a past. Stardew Valley for stockbrokers, basically. But like, generally he kind of seems to be a bit of a model of that. So to a certain extent, and I mean, there's also very famous examples of some struggles between the, the studio and the filmmakers in terms of what the filmmakers wanted to achieve compared to whatever commercial imperatives the studio felt. The thing is that I also have lots of examples of where studio intervention helped a movie. So generally, this culture of thinking that directors, like, I don't know what kind of publicity directors got to make them sort of seem like these towering geniuses, but I really want to hire whatever firm did that. Because this whole idea that these, directors are just, world-class geniuses who, if only the money people would get out of the way, movies would be so much better, like, just routinely gets, like, the story of which hotshot director has a follow-up movie to their breakout hit and it winds up being just a disaster happens a lot more than, director's cut is finally realized and it winds up being better than the original. And I mean, this is getting past the whole, like, ways fandoms behave in general. Like, that's... I largely just prefer not to even really bother with that whole thing. One thing I can tell you, just on the note of television, this might have changed. So there's a couple of examples now of series having like a single director. So like the Alex Garland, whose kind of directorial debut was Ex Machina. But had written things like 28 Days Later and Sunshine and The Beach, I think. Like Devs, he has writer-director credit on every single episode of that series. But generally, having worked on more than a few TV shows, I can tell you that the one consistent through line through a TV series is actually the cinematographer, sometimes two cinematographers. But there's basically this kind of uniformity that you want in terms of a TV series as far as, the style is concerned. And, you usually don't hear about, the superstar cinematographer who kind of made the trains run on time. But I can tell you that I have seen cinematographers save a TV episode from the quote-unquote inspiration of a director a lot more than I've seen a hotshot director kind of come in and just completely reinvent the format. Again, the truth might lie somewhere in between. Again, I've not worked on like a Game of Thrones kind of production, but I just generally think that I really could do with a little bit less director publicity, to be honest. Legion is an X-Men adjacent show about the son of Charles Xavier, a guy with mental powers who also suffers from a crap ton of mental issues. For the Snyder Cuts, it was just him having to suddenly leave the project entirely for complete... Yeah, so I know a little bit about the context through which he left the project. The other thing, too, though, is it's very weird to call something like that a cut, because it seems to be that there was a very substantial reshoot of that project. At which point, like, is it really a cut, or is it just, I think here's maybe the thing I find weird about the branding of that thing. It is not uncommon now for a really popular franchise to just be completely reinvented. I mean, we're at the point now where James Bond, was completely reinvented with Daniel Craig. And I mean, James Bond was sort of like a known formula for a really long time. And, just like games, there are now multiple games called Hitman, which, you're sort of left to, or, multiple games called Doom now, and you're sort of left to figure out which one people are referring to from the context. But, I'm just not entirely sure why they couldn't have just called it a separate project. One other small taste thing, and I feel a little bad saying this because obviously I know he's gone through some tremendous personal, personal tragedies. he seems like a reasonably nice person in interviews and such. I mean, everybody can be nice in an interview, though. That's maybe not so surprising. But I've always kind of felt Zack Snyder's maybe a little overhyped. You know, like 300 was entertaining, but like it wasn't, you know, it didn't, like, I don't really sit down and think about 300 other than maybe to make a silly reference to some of the stuff in that movie. Really didn't care for Watchmen. I mean, I think one of the things about Watchmen was that it, like, it seemed to be built around this whole idea of slavish faithfulness to the comic until it became inconvenient, and then it was really willing to just sort of kind of throw that out. At which point I'm sort of like, well, like, pick a lane. Like, I guess the thing is that, you know, Alan Moore is certainly a very opinionated individual, and I don't have a problem disagreeing with him. I do sometimes think that he is maybe a little bit unfair to collaborators or to just the general, you know, some processes. But, like, I am sort of on the side of the idea that, like, it is pretty clear that Watchmen was intended to be, like, and I think Moore has been pretty clear. The source material is something that was sort of built to not be a movie. You know, something that was sort of intended to be its own thing and sort of show how comics can tell their own unique types of stories. And I think that's one of the reasons why it's a very admirable work. I think that's one of the reasons why Watchmen sort of is Watchmen. I don't know, there's just something about doing, you know, the faithful recreation of something that's, or quote-unquote faithful recreation of something that's, you know, intended to show, you know, a style of storytelling that is unique to the comics form is, I don't know if it's missing the point or if it's, like, I don't know, it kind of seems to just not be the right approach for that sort of project. But I do think there's, you know, from what I understand, the HBO series Watchmen is actually very good, and it seems to be that they've decided to just kind of go their own way with the material. As a result, it's probably, you know, at least seems to have been a little bit more successful as a project. And then, you know, I haven't seen Sucker Punch, and I don't really know. I guess there was like an animated movie that he did. But yeah, like, the thing is that when I hear about all this fuss about this, you know, talent being attached to a comic book franchise and all of the effort that's going in to sort of ensure, you know, this talent is given the creative resources that it needs to, you know, to realize this perfect vision of what the franchise should have been. Like, I'm just sort of thinking to myself, I was like, but based on the track record, like, why does this need to happen? So, anyways, I should catch up with your base assumption about that was that it would still be a bad movie like the pre-cut version. But it's fine, which is great by the standards of recent DC movies. And the HBO Watchmen is great, do recommend. Yeah. I mean, this is the thing here. Like, the other thing is that, to a certain extent, I always want to temper these kinds of conversations. Let's see what happens when I've got the full group. King's Idol? Rubber flies elegy. How am I for numbers? So one thing I always kind of need to keep in mind for these kinds of conversations too is that, like, there's very clearly a set of projects and entertainment and just generally things that are not for me, and it is not a fault of those products that they're not for. Like, I'm okay with musicals. I think My Fair Lady is quite good. Moulin Rouge, Chicago. Obviously, all of these are fairly dated examples, but I legitimately enjoy those movies. But it would be very hard for me to say that like I go out of my way to see musicals. Romantic comedies are not exactly my kind of thing, and I probably, if I were to go to a random romantic comedy and be upset that it wasn't to my taste, I really feel like the fault, it lies with me there. I think the romantic comedy is probably doing exactly what it's intended to do. Although it would be kind of awesome to see how, like, it would be kind of awesome to see how awkward it would feel to be the only single person watching a romantic comedy. I should do that once lockdowns are done. But yeah, so like this is the thing, like, I sometimes need to appreciate that my comments along these lines are probably that of someone who either doesn't get or was not really intended to, is not the target audience for that sort of market. But I will say, like, as a whole, I do tend to wish that we would pull back from the it's a tough division for me to draw, because I think there is sometimes some value in terms of talking about individuals who have a very good track record, or have have accomplished something that we might want to emulate. I also think there's sort of a marketing drive behind that. But obviously we also run into some really big problems when we think that way. So like one problem that I run into is that I really like some Woody Allen movies. I also think he is an incredibly prolific screenwriter. And like, I really like the movie Annie Hall. I did not like Manhattan when I saw it. I'm even more uncomfortable with Manhattan now that I know a little bit more about Woody Allen and his personal life. But clearly right now, there is a whole conversation going on about Woody Allen, the person. And I get that there are people who don't really want to watch his stuff. That's completely within their right. I find it a little hard for me to erase feelings that I had about works on the basis of sort of knowing who the individual is. Woody Allen's abilities as a filmmaker, I think, are not necessarily tied to his personal life. And I wouldn't necessarily have a problem condemning someone's personal behavior while still being able to recognize their creative talent. Bryan Singer is unquestionably a very talented director and is probably somebody who should not be directing movies, just given the fact that there seems to be this incredible ability for people to abuse the privilege there. And it's a shame, right? Because I think the talent is undeniable, as is probably the truth behind the accusations against him. But I do tend to think that we would also be better served if we'd move past the idea that the ability, like, excelling in one field sort of makes you someone who should be listened to or is sort of worthy of respect in other fields. It's like a really good example is that Nobel laureate, at least economic Nobel laureates, will very often be asked like medical questions. And I know that because like there was a couple of talks that these winners of the Nobel, and they said is like, people, when you win a Nobel, apparently people like come up to you and ask you medical questions. And you can sort of get it both is very silly, but it also makes total sense, right? Because this is sort of someone who's known for being smart, and so smart people are like doctors. Clearly they know about health stuff, but the ability to find out price inelasticities is completely unrelated to your ability to diagnose cancer. It's the same as that Nobel Prize in physics probably doesn't confer any economic knowledge to you. And likewise, so there's apparently this Kojima quote about if you can do one thing well, you can do everything well, in terms of his intentions to open a film studio in Kojima Productions. And I'm like, well, lots of luck to you, my friend. I'm pretty sure you're going to find out just how difficult it is to make movies. Actually, making movies is not all that hard. Making good movies is very difficult, but I'm pretty sure you could make a movie no matter what. But again, it's a tricky one, right? Because to a certain extent, you do want to point... You want to be able to point to examples of success and to see how much of it you can emulate. But the idea, like, that kind of marketing that says, from the mind of ... I really, really wish we would get past that. And not just because I think it opens it to, it permits abusive behavior of people. I just tend to think that it would be good not to entangle, people's moral character or intellect with their ability to deliver on a given product. Because I do think there's a lot of work that is just the product of consistent hard work. And it would be better if we sort of deflate the idea that there are clearly people who are doing the work and doing it very well. But I do think it also tends to tie itself up with this idea of people who kind of get imbued with these grand visions and sort of hit by inspiration all of a sudden, and it kind of keeps us from this idea that maybe we could, if only we had this magical ability, we could do it too. I do tend to think that probably more people have the capacity to do these sorts of things. But there is a certain degree of marketing in place to make sure that people feel like, they're not one of the chosen. Anyways, sorry about that rant. Grubberfly's elegy contains the gratitude of grubs who will move to the next stage of their lives, imbues weapons with a holy strength. When the bearer is at full health, they will fire beams of white-hot energy from their nail. Oh man, that sounds so cool, but also given the way that I play, that sounds like something that will never be used. I'm not gonna... Well, I can't switch it out now anyway, but... I only have 1,000 more Geo to pick up, so I'm gonna head to the City of Tears. I'm sure I probably, lost half the viewership ranting about that. I mean, if somebody has objections to any of that, obviously I kind of had the bully pulpit for a little bit and went on a few meandering paths that are highly controversial subject, so, feel free to voice your dissent. I won't yell too loudly. But, I don't know. I do, I actually find myself in a really weird place on those, on that topic, for the simple fact that I actually think credit matters quite a bit and should be given more regularly. I say this as someone who's had a couple of his blog articles plagiarized by, larger streamers or Twitter accounts. And, it's, it basically, in this case here, it's, there's no recourse, right? I'm sure if someone were to see what I wrote, it would just be, oh, you took that from so-and-so. I'm like, actually, you can check the timestamps, but it doesn't matter. And the thing that bothered me the most was that, they only put, half of the argument, so it was really poorly presented, and they couldn't really defend the point of view that was being argued, so that also really bugged me. Mind you, that's also an argument for why some medicines should be under patent, because it's a way of protecting from poor imitations. So I do feel quite strongly in properly crediting people's efforts. But at the same time, I'm also very conscious of this industry of, kind of selling people as geniuses. And, there basically being a lot of incentives for some very unhelpful ideas about, creativity, character, a lot of other things. And just the way we generally think about famous people, right? I know who Jeremy Piven is because I've seen movies and TV shows with Jeremy Piven. Wow, I really screwed that one up. This should not give me any indication of his intelligence or his character. Oh yeah, absolutely, Talwin Moss. If like the one thing I am always going to enjoy is a good pointed deflation of egos and very silly conventions. Unfortunately, I tend to see a lot of from the mind of advertising or claims that are very serious, and anger's really the only exercise that I've been getting lately. So the angrier I am, the more my heart works. Giving it a good exercise. Yeah, I mean, there is definitely something to be said for the work of editors. But you're right. Like, it is definitely very appropriate to attribute. The works, a literary work to an author or authors. Obviously, there's collaborative efforts. I think one of the things I always find I mean, a lot of my examples are filmed just because it's, something that I have something of a working knowledge of. Obviously, like, everybody knows how to write words. Of course, this does not mean that they know how to write a book. But I do tend to think because, actually, I guess it's a little bit like streaming. Like, it's not that hard to get OBS and just put something out onto Twitch. To put something out that people want to watch or enjoy, probably a little bit more difficult than what people see. And I'm not going to suggest that I've necessarily found the formula for that. The rants that I've gone on, some people really like them, and I think a whole lot more people really don't like them. But obviously, the fact that you can do the mechanics of a given thing, the same way that I can move a pencil or a pen on a surface, but I would not really rate as any kind of an artist. I think there's a version of that for writing, but of course, because we tend to have to write in our day-to-day, we probably have something of an overestimation in terms of our ability to do what the professionals do. But again, I mean, it's a similar idea here. Like, actually, one thing I thought was really telling. I was talking about Neil Stephenson last broadcast because we were looking for some book recommendations. I actually thought it was really interesting. Neil Stephenson wrote an essay called "Why I'm a Terrible Correspondent," and kind of deals with the fact that he writes books that a very active and usually very enthusiastic fan base really enjoys, and there's sort of this expectation that when they meet him, he will be just like them, when in fact the only thing that is true is that he knows how to write the stuff that fan base enjoys, and inevitably people wind up disappointed, or they ask him questions that he's completely incapable of answering. Now, I will also say that probably there's a certain degree of modesty, false or otherwise, going on there, because he is, he has worked for Blue Origin. It's not like he's unaccomplished in other fields. Then again, he also was not the most successful game designer. If the Clang project is any indication. Yeah, I mean, in his case, sort of he sort of says, the one thing I know how to do and the one thing that pays the bills is write books, and so I want to maximize the time I spend doing that, and that means cutting out the not book writing stuff, even if that means disappointing fans. So even in the case of authorship, right, it's, the person who writes the stuff that you like and you think is so smart. Obviously, I know I'm guilty of this. You know, I think a lot of the authors that I enjoy, I feel like I would have so much in common with them or have so much to talk to them about. And the reality is probably that they are completely different from me. But it's a hard one to sort of to move aside. And again, like Stevenson's ability to write a good yarn about money and you know, the state of the world in the Baroque cycle does not necessarily mean that I would be able to sit down and have a conversation with him about money that would be illuminating, because obviously the ability to write a really good bit of historical fiction around that doesn't necessarily mean that you know, a conversation about the things that I'm interested in are necessarily going to be the they're not necessarily going to the alignment's not necessarily going to be there, although you can understand why, you know, someone might be under the illusion that there's a little more in common there. I think I went too far in one direction. If I see something official label is from the mind of Terry Pratchett or from the mind of J.C. McCrae, you can safely know that it'll be good. Yeah, I mean, to a certain extent, too, I think, too, some of that is a question of genre. So, like, I think that's actually a really appropriate, I think it's a really appropriate kind of labeling. And in fact, I think in some cases, directors might, you know, might resist, or, well, directors, you know, whoever is being associated with a given work might even resist such labeling in some cases if they're trying to do something different. So, like, if you pick up a... okay, actually, no, here's a great example. If you say you really like Isaac Asimov, I'm going to think of something like Foundation as opposed to his sort of annotated, you know, Shakespeare or, you know, Bible. You know, that's kind of what I think the assumption is going to be when you know, when you're assigning the label of, you know, an Isaac Asimov book. Despite the fact he was clearly very I mean, he wrote detective stories, which again are quite different from what we normally think in terms of this science fiction author. But, you know, again, when you say Terry Pratchett, you know, I'm sure if there were to be a, you know, a gardening book by Terry Pratchett, which is completely, you know, straight-faced about gardening, it might be a very good gardening book, but probably if it's labeled to you as, you know, Terry Pratchett's latest opus, you're probably going to be a little disappointed if you open that up and read it. But yeah, I mean, it's the same, you know, it's the same way that, you know, I actually really like Stanley Kubrick. And I realize that he's often he's often highlighted as an auteur. I do think it's quite telling that there's actually a lot of collaborations over Kubrick's, you know, Kubrick's career. And more importantly, that there's very few sort of original works. So a lot of his works are adaptations. And so the genesis of the project tends to be in a, you know, somebody else's original work. Now, again, there's a lot that kind of gets developed into, you know, it winds up being developed into this very unique object. But again, I also sort of recognize there's a lot of effort that's going in on the part of collaborators to make those films what they are. I had no idea that there was a Skyrim mod like that.
Velmi Artred.
Alright, I'm 200 short, so we'll go for the King's Idol. Oops.
Velmi Artred. Gachael.
King's Idol, eh? Alanus King was an elusive figure, deified by the citizens. With a king rarely seen, worship was offered through these idols. There's an expert craft to them. Few alive could match the skill.
Velmi Artred.
Okay. So here we're heading back to Dirtmouth. I don't need to wipe out as many targets. Doesn't mean I'll avoid the chance to have a little fun, but... There's a whole wholesome story about him using the Oblivion version of said follower and then reaching out to thank the mod author for various features he found legitimately helpful, while also offering suggestions for it. That's really cool. Alright, so before I go any further, let's reclaim my goodies. Again? You're so greedy for gifts. Poor little lovely. Give me your geo and I will give you your gift. Unbreakable greed. Ah, such beautiful special gifts. So lovely. I'm ready now. Very ready. I smell. You'll carry it with you then. Alright, so I think that means we are done. So this was sort of in the background something I was always contending with. Back again? You know I don't have any stock left, yes? You've cleaned me out. Or were you hoping to sneak a peek at my mountain of geo? Well, it's mine now, and fairly traded. How are your travels, Nail Master? As time goes by, I'm sure you'll only grow stronger. If you see your fellow Nail Masters again, tell them I carry them in my thoughts always, and that they should come and buy something from their old teacher as a mark of respect. I love the fact that so the funny thing about it is that there's a ton of signs that this guy is in fact the Nail Master in the environment. But again, it's all hiding in plain sight. Like you don't necessarily have any reason to think it is that character until it's revealed. So that was definitely a touch I really liked. Okay, so I could get rid of the Wayward Compass, but at this point here with the Unbreakable Heart and the Quick Slash, like, what do I replace it with? Maybe I should just be oh, hang on, I do need to equip the Grim Child. Okay. Okay, so I got 4 left after the Grim Child. Could give this a shot, I suppose. Let's do the Grub song as well. You know what? I'm not as enthusiastic about that charm as I thought I would be. So I will try the Quick Slash. It's actually funny that you mentioned that, Talwin Mustard, too, because one thing that I've been reflecting on this for a while is that I feel like modding is something I should really be into, and I would actually like to do more than I actually do, but there's always been an excuse to, like, not to do it, and I think one of the other factors that I've been thinking about has been is more of a testing phase for charm now. I mean, I'd like to find the other two, but at this point, it's actually I'm trying to remember who does the charms. I think I'm gonna head back down for a little bit. But yeah, so one of the things that I've been reflecting on is that modding seems like that would actually be something I would really enjoy. I've had a few ideas for some different mods, but I also feel a little conscious about the fact that if I make a mod, that is something that is sort of improving someone else's game. Whereas in theory, like, I think I have at least, like, the technical capabilities that would allow me to make a mod would theoretically allow me to also realize a game. And in the case of a game, that's something that I own and potentially could sell. So it's a weird one. Like, I realize that probably money shouldn't be the only consideration on that sort of thing. Oh god. I need to remember that I can't see... I don't have the compass anymore. I got too reliant on it. This is still heading to Crystal Peak. I'm usually okay without the compass, but I need to be conscious of where the map is, or where I am in the map, and kind of keep track of it, and I didn't do that here, so... Oh, sure. Actually, so what I've been doing with the Elder Scrolls games that I've been playing. So I'm on to Oblivion now on Tuesday. Well, you probably know this, but once I started with Oblivion, so at the time I wasn't aware of the exception. Thank you very much for the resubscription. I hope you are doing well. Thank you very much for the 37 months. That is always appreciated. Never expected. But yeah, so I wasn't aware of the sort of the Unity effort in Daggerfall, which obviously would have allowed me to mod it. But once it got to Morrowind, the idea basically would be to try and find a collection of sort of vanilla safe mods. So like basically the experience of the original game, warts and all, would be preserved, but it would make an effort to try and bring the game visually to a, you know, a little bit closer to modern expectations. Because like the thing is that there is actually a charm to old-fashioned graphics. You know, there are a lot of old games which still have... I mean, so, like, basically it's like any kind of visual style for a game that you enjoy. There is a consistency to that... there's a consistency to that visual style that, regardless of whether or not you know, it would sort of meet modern standards of sort of top quality, the consistency is what makes it worthwhile. So, you know... I'm sure there would, you know, this is probably a more old-fashioned view, but like once upon a time when like all of a sudden 3D was happening a little more regularly in games, and there was the idea that you were insane if you were doing a 2D version of a game. Obviously Hollow Knight would not do well in that sort of environment, despite the fact that it has a very beautiful visual style. Do I say that this game looks better than Battlefield 5 or Destiny 2? I don't know if that's a useful comparison. But probably 20 years down the road, this game is still going to be beautiful, even if resolutions are 14 times more than what we have right now. And there's, Hollow Knight 8, which is in complete virtual reality. This game will still hold up because of its sort of the consistency in its look. In the same way that, I still really like Sid Meier's Alpha Centauri, despite the fact that it's a very old game, and it's, if I wanted a science fiction civilization, I've got Beyond Earth, and then, I think Pandora First Contact is another sort of 4X in that style. So there might be more modern-looking games, but there's still sort of this appealing visual consistency because they put some thought in terms of what they wanted to achieve graphically. So yeah, the idea here was, I wanted to respect that possibility, but also sort of say, well, what would it be like? I'm playing it for the first time. Let me try and take advantage of what the community has done. And so I don't do things that add, new content to the game. But I have made an effort to try and sort of spruce them up and take advantage of my extra processing power. Oh, I did not know that, Talwin. So yeah, I just took the existing Morrowind 3 and put whatever mods I could in there. Yeah, although I suspect probably the biggest gains right now are just going to be dealing with some of those quirks of human, so obviously there's a lot of very good animation that's going on, but there's definitely a lot of quirks in terms of people's actions and behaviors that kind of give them away as being artificial. And I have a feeling that there's a lot of, if you just kind of take a look at some of the marketing material for things like Unreal, it does actually seem to be that they're making a very serious effort to try and bridge those gaps and finally get that last little bit so that the way that characters behave in these environments is a little more authentic. Again, obviously that's I actually think one of the things that'll be interesting is that the closer we get to sort of photorealistic images in games, I have a feeling that there's probably going to be a huge sort of, I don't know if I want to say demand, but a really big niche for games like Hollow Knight, which don't bother trying, if you've kind of commodified the idea of being photoreal, all of a sudden these very strong choices in terms of visual style will carry a higher premium, because these are things that are not easy to do. If you can take a photo of a rock and put it into a special program and it will give you a 3D rendering of that rock in the real world, it's going to be quite straightforward to do, by construction, and so as a result it's going to be something that a lot of games incorporate, whereas making interesting artistic decisions and ones that are consistent throughout the world will be ones that require creative professionals to work on. Oh wow, so I gotta be full up. Okay. I have no idea where to get the other two charms, but I will work my hardest on it. Yeah. Well, I know better than to try and forecast technological progress, but it was really just an illustration to try and say that I suspect probably where the effort is going is not necessarily to push a higher number of pixels, but rather to address workflows and just try and free up people's ability to realize something that they might have in their head but are having difficulty realizing in the engine or in the environment. Oops. I know I can just sell some more Geo, but it's hard for me to get past the impulse to load up. Oops, that would have worked so well. Turns out there's a substantial difference between the A and the C key. I'm really debating as to whether or not that I really want to get to green path. Yeah, I'm debating about whether or not getting rid of the compass was really all that worth it right now. So 77 based on what the save file said, which I will admit feels like a lot. It feels like that is higher than what I've actually been playing, but I'm sure the record will reveal that I've been taking my time. Admittedly, I did spend like 2 streams dedicated to the third trial and the Colosseum of Fools, so I'm sure a subsequent playthrough would be quite a bit shorter. Oop. Sorry, probably shouldn't. There's a time to check for chat, and it's probably not when I'm in the middle of the sky. Yeah, you know what? It probably wouldn't hurt for me to go back to the compass. The extra souls are nice, but I'm letting myself get turned around a little bit too much, and I'm a little distracted tonight, so I feel like instead of just dwelling on the map and then feeling like a zombie every time I fail to follow through. I could also just take the faster way up to I'll speedrun on Steel Soul. Good lord. Actually, you know what? I'll try this without the compass one more time. I will, however, work out a like a travel plan. Oh, come on. All right. Well, basically, as left as far as I can and then up. That's not that hard to remember. So is there a, like, 112% complete Steel Soul achievement? Because that strikes me as something very difficult to achieve. Speaking of, I think I said I was going to check this out, but I never did. We are 101. I thought we might have been a little bit further than that. Okay, so now I want to see how many, like, what percentage of players have that. I gotta remember to use my magic for that. Endors would approve of me realizing I need to use magic more. Well, that didn't go as planned. I guess we'll head left a little bit more and then up. One thing I will say, like, I was trying to think of what I would really struggle on with the Steel Soul mode. And for a number of them, I feel like I could do okay. Because when I was thinking of it, there are a few sections where it's like, it's death in a dream as opposed to... So, like, not a real death? Oh, come on. But with that in mind, there's still a couple of spots where it's really quite the challenge. Once I deal with the Carnival, or Grimm's Troop, I think I will probably... I'll also kind of go through my log and see kind of the low-hanging fruit for any bad guys I can vanquish. A couple of videos that are 5 hours, 50 minutes. Good lord. Again, I have a tremendous respect for it. I will admit, actually, Hollow Knight might actually be a game I would consider attempting a speedrun. I don't think I would ever actually do it, and I probably would never try it on stream. But I feel like I got enough out of Hollow Knight that it's something I could conceivably see myself trying to find kind of an optimal path through. But, I mean, that's, like, please don't take that as... Like, that's really me that's idle talk. That's not, like, a firm commit. I feel like there are other things that I can do than try and perfect, you know, playing through a given game. Actually, you know what? I'm going to talk about something. I played a game I really liked recently. It's called Detention. It's by Red Candle Games. It's one that probably a lot of you are already familiar with. But I ran into it because, well, I'd actually downloaded it a while before, but the reason I actually finally got around to playing it was that EA Play gave me a notification that it's going to be leaving the service in, I think, 2 months, 49 days now, I guess. Anyways, it's and it's like I realize that there is some sort of there's quite a bit of controversy around this developer. I do not believe that it is leaving the service for anything related to that. I believe this is either, you know, natural leaving from it, or possibly the fact that they have now started up their own storefront, and so there might be a, you know, something inside the contract that says, you know, we reserve the right to pull this from EA Play at, you know, X notice. Sorry, I'm just trying to figure out. Maybe I should have. So I feel like I should be able to go up from here. I'm sure it's very simple, and I'm just being thick, but anyways, really enjoyed Detention. I do want to try Devotion, which is now available. GOG sort of showed their true bravery by announcing that was going to be on their service for all of like 3 hours before reversing the decision and saying, oh, actually, no, we're not going to carry it. Obviously, the notification that was going to be leaving Play sort of motivated me to check it out. The one thing I will say about it, and I don't know what it is about horror games that make them want to do it, because Observer did this and I thought was worse off for it as well. There are 2 endings to that game, and actually the second ending is very difficult to get if you're not paying close attention and are like on the wavelength of the developer. And the other thing that's frustrating about it is that it is very easy to, like, if you don't get the ending you were hoping for, you basically have to play the game over to get it. And Observer did this as well. I think Layers of Fear might do it as well. And I will admit, like, I'm not crazy about this convention. Like, I enjoyed Detention, and it's a reasonably short game, so I did ultimately go through to get the final achievement. But in one sense, for both of those games, I actually think the second ending I got is much stronger than the one that I got through just a natural playthrough. And I sometimes wish that they would have the conviction to stand by, like, basically make a creative decision and say, this is the ending for the game. Alternatively, I do wish they would make it easier to experience the alternative, because I'm very rarely motivated to play games a second time through. And it feels more of an annoyance and more like a gimmick to try and get me to spend more playtime in the game rather than being something that, like, I will play a game again because I enjoy it. I am fine making that decision on my own. I don't need a design quirk to, like, Civilization does not require a mechanic to make me start up a new game. And I don't feel that Observer or Detention should, require a gimmick to make me want to have that experience again. So I don't know what it is about horror games to do that. I do still want to try Devotion, but I don't know when I'll get around to it. Because, like, obviously Detention I tried because it was in the EA Play service.
Baba Gondala.
So you followed me here to where the ritual began. You would join me in breaking it then. It is painful to defy the Master, but our harvest, it profanes this dark, quiet kingdom. This once I would see the ritual fail. Now, let us destroy the anchor and banish the Master. Never shall he return here again. Cool. So, from what I understand, it's possible that I missed out on, like, a fight with the Master. But the thing is that as soon as he said that the ritual profanes the kingdom, I couldn't bring myself to do any other option. I feel very, like, this is one of the things I actually think is a big strength of this game, is that I actually feel very attached to certain outcomes in this game. So, if I made a choice that cuts off, something that maybe somebody was wanting to see, sorry, but I don't want to profane the kingdom. Then again, I also kind of think that just comes back to my usual thing, which is that it doesn't make a lot of sense to talk about whether or not a game is being played correctly or not. I kind of figure if you're doing an option that the developers gave you the option. And of course, we were talking about modding earlier. Sometimes something that players have given you the option for, it's fair game, so. I'll maybe take a quick peek to see what's happened here, though. Also, did that count as any kind of completion? No, we're still at 101. Whoa! Sorry, something just minimized my window out of nowhere. Ah, neat. Ah, hello. I'm new around these parts, so it's marvelous to see a friendly face in such a sad town. The old bug over there was very welcoming, but I still find the place a little melancholy. What with the wind, the darkness, and the sense of decline, I was hoping my music could go some way to livening up the place. And now that you've arrived with that wonderful charming aura around you, the whole town feels a bit brighter for it. By the way, I love the way the accordion looks. Like... Before you hurry about your business, I have a small gift to commemorate a wonderful new friendship. No use for it myself, but I believe it'd look rather fancy upon you. Please enjoy it, and let's hope to see much more of one another about town. The Carefree Melody. Oh, 102%, okay. Token commemorating the start of a friendship contains a song of protection that may defend the bearer against from damage. Ah, yes, that is definitely what one wants. A charm which with an uncertain outcome. Okay, I think I'm going to re-equip the. Well, hang on. Let's. Oh, banishment achievement unlocked. Banish the Grim Troop from Hollow Nest. I always thought that would be combat-oriented. My dear friend, are you enjoying my music? It's as upbeat a tune as I know, but I must admit, even it falls a little on the sadder side. Please know I play it with joy. Being in this town, besides such good company as yourself, I feel remarkably, refreshingly content. Aha, good riddance. That creepy carnival has vanished and town's returned to its former self, nice and quiet as I like it. Yeah, actually, so one of the things, I've got wonderful, I've got the ability to see things after they happen, Talwyn. I tend to figure out what my ideal set of charms would be long after the the fight is done. And we've gained a new addition in the square. I found the fellow just outside of town. Seemed a little confused at first. Claims to be from far away, though he's hazy on the details. Whatever his past, he's a rather good musician, and this town spent far too long listening to only the wind. Thanks to him, we've gained a new tune and some new company. Feeling tired? That bench may be of iron, but I assure you it's quite comfortable. There's no better place to collect your thoughts before heading below. Plus, I enjoy the company. Not that you seem the talkative sort. All right. Another bug's arrived, and quite a racket he's making in the square. Worst, he's not a geo to his name, only that blasted squealing instrument. Why is it always the poor that decide to stay? A stylish fellow's made his way to town. Normally, I'm wary of musicians, all pomp and ego. This one seems okay, and he's not asked for any geo just yet. Let's hope it stays that way. Are you enjoying yourself down in the ruins? At times my husband makes Hellenus sound such a wonder, but sometimes it seems a ghastly, dangerous place. Okay. Precept 4, forget your past. The past is painful, and thinking about your past can only bring your misery. Thinking about something else instead, such as the future, or some food. I'm debating as to whether or not I want to take on another, yes. Debating about whether or not I want to try another round of, Grey Prince Zote. Let's give it a shot. Although the compass isn't going to help me here. I completely forget how this fight works, by the way. Good God. I was hoping to get a heal in, but... Although I keep forgetting the music for this one is great. Oh, Jesus. Alright, that was terrible. Compass is there for emotional support. Alright. I don't want to, like, spend the whole night on this, but I feel like I need to perk things up a little bit, especially because I don't have an obvious next step other than trying to clear out a few entries in the hunter's log. One thing I love about this fight is how they still make Zote purely incompetent, despite being a powerful adversary. I think I just need to go hard. All right, that was a little bit better, but again, one thing, I'm way too willing to take damage in this fight where I really shouldn't be. Because there are actually a number of very predictable ways in which he damages. Rat. Good lord. Better than nothing, but still not great. Ah! Tried to dodge a little bit better. If nothing else, this is getting me a little more reacquainted with boss fights again. I'm noticing that some of the stuff that he's adding is different from the previous 2 encounters. So I suspect this boss just generally gets harder each time you fight it, but... Oh, come on. Okay, I gotta figure out how to deal with Maticus Ray. Thank you very much for the subscription. Resubscription, I suppose. I hope you are doing well. Sorry, I'm thanking you during a boss fight. Well, voluntary boss fight, which I'm probably gonna lose, so I suppose I can afford to get distracted a little bit, but thank you again for the support. Continued support. Forgot to get on here and sub when your Twitch sub becomes available. Well, I don't take attendance, and I also realize I'm not the only person that people watch. In fact, a lot of times people have gotten into the channel as a result of other people recommending. So it's definitely one of these things where I never take it personally if a subscription is not renewed, but it's appreciated nonetheless. So thank you very much, and more importantly, I really appreciate you appreciating the work. It's very easy to get discouraged doing this sort of stuff. So while I never want to be someone who kind of needs a constant stream of praise, recognition does really go a long way to kind of keeping the energy up, and kind of keeping me doing what I do. Okay, I really need to find a better answer to that. I guess kind of bouncing on his head is the answer there, and then just staying on the ground the rest of the time. Ah! Oops. He bamboozled me. No healing opportunities because of the ads. Well, riskier heals, but I think probably worth it nonetheless. There we go. I still really like that fight. The whole, obviously being able to poke fun at Zote early on when he appears in the Coliseum of Fools is really fun. But to then deal with Super Zote in the middle of the fantasy, like specifically also at the, in the fan shrine, it's one of my favorite bits for sure. Okay, so the game's telling me there's quite a bit to do still. I've got 2 charms that are totally unaccounted for. And then, 10% of the game unaccounted for, although presumably at least 1% of that is the Hollow Knight itself. Okay, so let's go through... First of all, we'll find the new entry, and then we will take a look and see... We'll see if we can find some of these... some of these entries to take out. Okay, so basically anything without a fancy border. Okay, so mask fly, harmless creature that favors serene environments, usually travels in flocks. I just need to take 8 more of those. So a quick trip to Green Path is an easy call. The Duranda, simple flying creature protected by a spiky shell. I don't know if those are still in Green Path or not, but we'll see if we can find them. I guess they are. Yeah, come to think of it, I'm pretty sure I know where I can find them in Green Path. Now, Fluke Munga. That... Oh, well, grown fat on rich refuse found in the pipes below the capital. Okay, that tells me where I can find those. Oblobble, I really don't know where I'm going to find one of those. But, all of that aside, I think Green Path will give me at least enough to sort of get started with. Did you know that Zote has more lines than Well, if we include the principles of Zote, that does not surprise me at all. And as somebody who talks too much, I definitely know that Zote is the pinnacle of someone who talks too much. Sorry, talks the most despite having the least to say. You know, I'm not saying that's a trait of myself that I like, but it's, you know, it's important to recognize that tendency in oneself. That's maybe less of a surprise once I consider the fact that I have actually read all of the principles of Zote. I've maybe not taken them to heart, but I've read them. Oh, come on. Alright, so first targeting harmless creatures like these. Come on. There we go. I think that's only 4 more to go. Clearly not 4 more to go. You know, I could probably just find them back in those spots they were originally, but I still want to head elsewhere. Okay, these are the ones I screwed up last time, so... There we go. Let's read that entry right away. Maskfly, harmless flying creature that favors serene environments, usually travels in flocks. They all keep a lookout for danger, and when one flies away, the rest do as well. I wonder how it feels to have the protection of a pack. Okay. So I was thinking I could probably find the flying guys I need to take out. Yep, here, there's one at least. Ooh, they're not the easiest to take out, though. Oh, pfft. Why did the music get so dramatic all of a sudden? Ah! I really thought I was gonna... Oh, hang on. I need to preserve my souls. I do remember this sequence. It just I don't know why having achieved the objective, why the music's so dramatic. I'm gonna head over these guys just for starters, because I'm figuring one well-placed bolt. Well, you know what? It's a suicide run, but more of a suicide run than I thought. There we go. It's also a lot easier now that I've got the double jump. Or presumably easier. I still found a way to screw it up. Oh, jeez. I really need to pay attention when there's spikes around. Alright, I gotta Superman jump through that. Right, that was our painter friend. Okay. I guess we can get the entry right away. So again, all of the things that I set out to do are actually becoming quite a bit, are easier than I thought they were going to be. So let's say one of these entries is reserved for the Hollow Knight itself. That would imply 3, well, yeah, 3 encounters, or okay, 2 encounters, not including the Hollow Knight. And then 3 that I need to complete. Simple flying creature protected from a spiky, or by a spiky shell. Excuse me. Thinks itself fully protected and so is unconcerned about passers-by. Attack its face and teach it that nothing is ever safe. So I am just going to double check from the top, but I'll go through this really quick. So I think we're due to travel the sewers again, which I'm actually not all that uncomfortable with because it's probably one of the areas I've explored the least. So yeah, the Flukmunga. Right, yeah, and the Flukmunga, because it's 151, 150, that would be the only one that's got a shield around it. I have to guess that the remaining entry... So again, let's say the Hollow Knight is one of them. I would have to assume that the remaining 2 are like mini-bosses that I just haven't encountered yet. Also, I don't think I said hi, Prometheus. Hello, how are you doing? Thank you all of you for stopping by tonight. I've made quite a bit more progress than I thought I would. We still have an hour to go on the stream. Plus, I notice with Hollow Knight I do tend to go overtime, which might be a virtue or a or a penalty depending on how much you enjoy the Hollow Knight streams. That's why I didn't want to spend too much time on Zote, because if I can make some serious progress, I have a feeling that I'm probably not going to be able to make it to the to the Hollow Knight. I can make it to the Hollow Knight whenever I want, but I have a feeling I'm not going to be able to complete the game within the hour and still achieve everything that I want. But if things prove a little quicker, if things prove to be solved as quickly as they have the last couple of hours, maybe I do have a time for a serious run on the Hollow Knight. So I guess it's the Royal Waterways is the technical name for this. So it seems probably just as well to go to King's Station. I am weirded out by the fact that I still haven't been able to open these doors. Oops. Well, see, the decisions about where it's easy to travel to and where it isn't easy to travel to, I think it's kind of neat the way that they have... I don't feel it's gotten in the way... I don't feel like it's gotten in the way of my enjoyment of the game, but I do think it's kind of interesting just to sort of show you where the priorities of this kingdom were in terms of certain locations. So, it makes sense that the areas referred to as the wastes do not have sort of stagway access. But there are plenty of instances where, important central locations have not just one but multiple stations. Now, this isn't something that they had to do in the game. Obviously, there's lots of... There's plenty of sort of arguments to make for saying, make it easy to go to certain locations consistently throughout. But it's kind of neat just to see how you sort of have this implied, I don't know, Office of Central Planning or something to take care of details like that. I think it's really neat just to see that reflected in the way that the travel works. I mean, to a certain extent, obviously there are places I've wanted to go, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be a little bit of a pain to get there, but... I think one problem I'm running into here is I don't have a very clear idea of where exactly I want to be going. And that was sort of what I ran into when I was in here first. I sort of wandered around here for a bit and then sort of stopped. So I don't really feel like I've ever properly investigated the Royal Waterways. Although it was fun to run into the Dung Defender, obviously. Surprises there. Again, still running into all the wrong people. That was a little interesting to see. So up here it looks like there's a bit of a platform. It might just be that I can access that from... Alright, not as interesting as I thought. Alright, this is looking encouraging. Obviously, I'll take the visual clues as to my target. And I think I already did this fight, so... Right visual cues, unfortunately, wrong target. Wait a minute, what's laying all the new... Alright, well that's... Oh, hang on. Oh, I messed this up so bad. There we go. So I'm gonna try and get the drop on this one. I don't mind doing sort of a bit of a suicide run on those guys as long as it takes them out. I just need to make sure that I have a way of regenerating health between. Obviously, I'm sure there are more elegant ways to handle them, but this kind of strikes me as the fastest. Nope. Alright, this is going to be a bit of a problem. There we go. Alright, so again, I've achieved what I was looking for quite a bit sooner than I thought I was going to, and I don't have an immediate... I actually don't have an immediate idea about how I want to follow that up. So one thing I might do is take a look at the map for any little like nooks and crannies. Now the problem that I have with this approach is that I think a lot of those nooks and crannies are going to be places I've already checked. Oh, hang on. A cocoon chained with a simple lock. Use a simple key. Yes. Hi there. Collected the God Tuner, device that resonates with beings of great power. Seek the gods of Hallownest, tune their power, through their strength ascend. Okay. Blasphemy! Rank blasphemy! Thou crawler, thou cringer, thou smallest of the small. By what right dost thou trespass here, in the home of the gods? Shrivel away and be gone! Be gone! Welcome to the Path of Pain 2! Oh, God home. Never mind. Our mind a sea. All right. Pantheon of the Masters. Seek the gods of nail and shell. Bind. What? I don't know what any of this means. Wretch! Thou hast ordained thine own destruction. Through sacred combat we are attuned to this kingdom's greatest beings. By entering this gate thou hast challenged the very gods of this kingdom. Dost thou consider thyself the equal of this pantheon, of its masters? Draw thy weapon then, fool of fools, and be damned for thy arrogance. Alright then. Oops. I'll play it safe for the next little bit. Ah! Olé! I still have my shadow dodge. Oh, that's not a good use of soul. Stop trying to hit me and hit me. Oh, come on. So apparently taking one to the face is a good way of getting 2 hits in. Oh right, this is a really early fight. I'll be careful on this one because I don't have a lot of ways of recovering health. Oof. I hate you. Oh, come on! Oh, that's right, I don't get soul off of hitting this guy until I hit the meaty bits. Okay. Sorry, little guy. Put me your lives! Oh god, I forgot. Oh, come on! This one might do me in. Oof, yeah. I gotta be cautious until I can get my health back. I realize this is not an exciting way to do this stuff, but at least the music makes me feel like I'm engaging in a much more epic battle than I really am. Ah. I always get hit by this. The thing I hate the most is when I get hit by the same error multiple times. Like, I'm sure there's a way to safely handle the tail, but right now, discretion's the better part of valor. Olé! I don't know, I'm managing it without a charm, but I'm feeling a little bolder now that I've got full health and full souls. I'm assuming binding everything was probably not the done thing if I wanted an easy time of this. That was probably not a good use of my souls there. Oh, come on! It's not like Hornet's a fan favorite or anything. Drat. Oof. No! Oh, that really annoys me that I let that happen. I even knew from the last fight with Hornet that I don't heal during her active phases. Although the thread attack caught me by surprise. I forgot about that one. I just wish I had a better way of hitting these things, because these fights turn into a little bit of a grind. Oh, come on. Oh, I really thought I could have hit him there. One thing I do like about this is that it is showing me how reliant I've become on my upgrades and my charms. Oh no! Alright, I can get through this. I meant to heal, not Ooh. There we go. Olaf, thank you very much for the follow. Or not follow, the host. It's like a good time to host. Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest, I'm not feeling a ton of pressure on this encounter, but I did make a really dumb mistake during the Hornet, which I'm presuming is the last encounter, which I feel a little bummed out about, but that's fine. I believe the game does allow you to make mistakes, and perhaps if the game allows me to do that, I should stop beating myself up over very trivial and perfectly normal things that happen in the game. Oops. I forgot he throws a tantrum, so... Oh! I was chasing one of those, There we go. It feels so weird to be on the right-hand side. It like, mechanically, I don't see how it would make any difference, but just the way I was doing it last time, it really weirds me out. But how are you tonight, Olaf? I'm feeling pretty good. Encouraged to find this. I had no idea what this. I had no idea that I was going to be running into a whole set of challenges like this. So slightly different direction than where I thought it was going, but hopefully that will put us a little bit closer to completion. Given that everything's sort of yellow tinged, I'm assuming that this is the yellow DLC in the bottom left-hand corner. By the way, do you know about the secret... Does anybody here know about the secret 5th binding for this DLC? It's kind of specific for this stream. And if anyone doesn't know about it, would you like to see the secret 5th binding to this bit of content? Oh. Lost my senses. That was silly of me. I just need one more hit and I should be good. Okay. Now I'm wondering if everybody's just searching like wikis, like, wait, there's a secret binding? What's going on? Ah. I'm only gonna fall for that once. Although this rendition of the Hornet music I really like. Ah! I will also say, I generally like the sound of brass, so the fact that this arena has so many brassy moments makes me feel very happy. Part of this may be because I did play trumpet, both in classical and jazz. I can't believe I got away with that. Nope! Ah. I'm getting careless. Oh, come on. I'm letting this fall apart. You can also see, like, you can see just through my movement the exact moment I started panicking, too. There we go. Oh, they took away my soul, but didn't let me, Alright, if you're gonna give me a second, I want to go to the bathroom real quick. And I'm gonna find the secret binding, so, it'll be very brief. But I don't know what's coming up next, so just a sec. Alright, sorry about that. I don't normally like doing those kinds of interruptions, but... Okay, round 2. I don't remember anything about Gorb. Ah. Spikes. Oops. Oh, come on. I do not remember the Dung Defender at all. Well, I remember that. Damn you! Obviously I screwed up the timing on that heal, but... I gotta stop getting so close to him during those... Okay, let's be careful. Okay, I'm still not dead, but... Not looking good. Okay. Alright, let's try and be a little more cautious for the next one. The problem here is I don't know the best way to heal. Okay, we're back to square one. Oh, this is bad. That's a shame. Oh, that is a real shame. I did screw up on that one heal spot, but I feel like I ran into that one that killed me. Oh wow, they want me to do it from the very start. Well, this is another month of casts accounted for. I've noticed if I go to the far end, it seems to attract the Vengefly to get a little bit closer, so I might be able to nip it on the tooth, but I seem to wind up getting hit just as many times as I deliver a hit, so whether or not it's an effective strategy is another question. I guess it helps if they summon rather than swoop. Like there. That was less helpful. Yeah, and he gets scared as soon as you start approaching him, so there's a small window in which that works. Oh, come on. I realize the number of times I get mad at myself over minor mistakes. I'm kind of falling into the one big criticism I have of a lot of Ninja's outbursts, which is just this general feeling that you need to treat every game like it's the finals in a multi-million-dollar championship, and that anything less is just not putting in the effort. What are you even doing playing the game? But with that in mind, like I am trying to, to improve over some of the errors that have cost me in the past, and sort of knowing when I fall into bad habits again or when I get careless. I want to mildly scold myself to make sure that I recognize the error, but again, so far as I can tell, I don't get to keep the Geo at the end of the game, so it's, the worst that I do is I lose a little time in resetting. I am getting a little bit better at finding efficiencies in terms of places to hit this guy. It's the false knight, right? Almost got hit by that rock. That would have been embarrassing. Sorry, I don't have a lot to say during this. It's kind of material we've already been through, so I don't need that much concentration. But every time I think that's when I start making the really, really obvious blunders. Alright, that didn't take as long as last time, it felt like. think I'll give the charger its distance. All right. Not a good start, but Olay! So this one, I don't know. The last couple of rounds, I was able to find these nice little spots where I could get some extra hits in. This one, it really feels like it's one hit for each pass. And I'd be tempted to try and find other efficiencies, but this one does have the kind of more so than some of the other fights. I really do feel has kind of the potential to do me in. So, oops. Ugh. Yeah, so that I think I know one thing I'm gonna try. That's okay. Even 2 is, like, that presumably would cut the fight in half. And if I can cut the fight in half, that means fewer opportunities for mistakes. Ugh, like those. That dash is gonna... Oh, I know I'm gonna regret doing that. You know, I was wondering about the idea of making you go back from the start all the time. One thing that is neat about this is how I'm learning to, like, do the fights faster as a result of this. Oh, come on. That threat attack is the one I fear. Oh, ouch. Yeah, I got a little too confident. Remind yourself that overconfidence is a slow and insidious killer. No! I can't believe I missed 2 of those hits above her. There we go. Sadly, I didn't make it back to the brass bit. Okay, we're already full souls, full everything. Wait, I can equip it? Yeah, I thought so. Alright, let's see how we do. At least this time it would take me like 6 hits to figure out what I'm doing wrong. Ah, I knew that was going to happen eventually. I cannot believe I got away with that. Ugh. It's nice to be close, but like, let's not get ridiculous. Fortunately, the gaps here are pretty forgiving as far as health blunders, so... Alright. I should probably stop sitting on my foot because I can't feel my leg. Leave me alone! You know, one thing I will say for the Dung Defender is his opening cry is charming enough that it creates a mild incentive to actually lose. What? I always thought hitting him would stop that. Ah! Oh, come on! I don't feel like that should be interrupting the heal. Ah! So, no healing here, but... well, maybe here. Ah. Alright, so I'm going without souls on this next one, which is a little bit of a worry, but... Ah, I hate it when I land. I almost did that once before. Okay, I think think this is good. Ah, nuts. Taking a lot more hits with this guy than I did last time. Okay. Let us keep our heads. Okay, not great, but we can manage. Oh, sneaky. Nuts. Okay, I was asking for that. Dread. Ooh, that was too dangerous. Oh, yikes. Oh man, I didn't even notice I got hit by that one. Oh, it's a real shame. I feel like I was getting a little bit better at the patterns there. He was obviously able to keep me down to 2 masks. And I did a couple of really dumb moves like hitting him with the or like trying to charge into him as opposed to above him. But yeah, this is manageable. I'm not 100% sure whether or not I'm going to be able to see this one through to the end. I am at sort of my finishing mark, and there was a few things I wanted to get done tonight. But I'm not, like, I am enjoying this, so my occasional shouts of anger notwithstanding. So I'm, maybe just as a caution, I'm giving myself the option of finishing at the normal time. It is worth mentioning, so it was a holiday today, and Monday is a holiday as well. I've gotten in the bad habit of streaming where, like, I want to take Canadian holidays as holidays, and that means not streaming. But I've also wanted to be a little bit better at signaling when I won't be broadcasting. And unfortunately, like, Good Friday kind of creeped up on me. So let's say that Monday is potentially an optional streaming day for me. It is Phantom Brigade, so, you know, I tend to really like that one. And, you know, I know there's some people who, like, only want to watch Phantom Brigade, and so they're not necessarily going to know that I'm taking the holiday. But maybe just fair warning. It's something that if I'm feeling like I need, I need an opportunity to recharge, I should take it. Especially because I have a feeling that work's going to get a little bit busier in the next couple of months. So I think a chance to recharge would not be unwelcome. And then, like, I'm going to have tax stuff to do in that, which I'm sure is going to be a little bit of a drag. I mean, everybody has this stuff to deal with, right? But if if my holiday days wind up being days in which I'm just doing, you know, my side hustle, as much as I enjoy streaming, like, it is something that I do take time out of the day to do, and it means that other things that I want to get done get put aside. And particularly some of the stuff that I'm doing here, like I'm on a roll, so I want to make sure that work is still being nurtured. know what I thought I was going to accomplish with that. Dashing into the path is not the... I did it again! I think it's because I'm doing the same motion whenever I'm attacking, so... The thing is, doing the attack lets me go above the enemy. There we go. Forgot that I can attack during these bits. Oops. That was pretty... I'm not sure I want to do heals like that in the future. I mean, it didn't hurt me, but that definitely could have turned into something worse. Man, this is my new thing, charging straight into the enemies. I just feel like the encounters could use a little extra difficulty. Ooh, it's been a while since he's hit me on one of those. Why am I letting myself get hit by really obvious stuff? Okay, so I can't heal on this because they'll just deny me the health, but I'll have to give up a couple of early hits. Oh wait, no. I think I have time before the charge on this one. I had an itch between that attack. I was very scared to scratch, but it worked out. Well, I didn't hit him, but... I almost ran into that. Alright. Damn. Oh, I can get 2 in? Probably not here, but... If you take him out mid-air, it looks that much cooler. Alright. Ah! Oh, come on. Okay, I need to stop being an idiot. Why do I always time that so badly? Oh, Jesus. I'm just asking to get pounded. Why do I keep running into this enemy? Alright. It's not even like I'm being all that more aggressive than I normally am. I'm just walking into hits more often. There we go. Okay. Back to my old habits. Alright. I mean, sitting on the bench doesn't really seem to do anything, but... Come on. It is nice that if you hit him, you sort of displace him a little bit. That way when I get under him, as long as I have sort of enough time to register what's happening, I'm usually safe. Obviously I'm being a little more conservative in some of my attacks though, just because I'm trying to get past the mentality that all my charms have given me about sort of being able to take a very large number of hits to learn how everything works. One thing I could probably start doing too is just counting the number of hits it takes to take out these enemies. Oh, come on! Jesus Christ. Well, I was on the way of getting back on track, and then a bunch of dumb decisions cost me. I mean, I'm assuming he's gonna go to phase 2 soon, and that's gonna suck. Okay, back to... Ah! I don't know if this is a timing thing, like if it's just because it's getting a little late in the stream, but I'm getting really careless at a time I can't afford to. Okay, 2 masks. Let's try and have a better showing this time around. Ouch. That one I took the hit because I needed to at least be able to I needed to be sure that I could at least get to the next little bit. Oh, Jesus. I don't normally... I'll wait for the next death from above. Okay, better. Sorry for the lack of commentary on this too. Apparently I've become very invested in this series of fights. Yeah, just the number of times I'm missing attacks that I used to kind of reliably nail. The fact that I'm getting hit by this guy in this phase at all is making me a little nervous about my state. Okay. Oh, nuts. Think I can heal? Ah, I hit the wrong button. Nuts. I'm just giving him freebies. Nuts. That sucks. So I didn't get the health and I lost the souls. Maybe I can make it? Nope. I took a risk. It didn't turn out. Alright, once more. I do feel that I'm kind of hitting my diminishing returns, but I really feel like that should have been the time I got the Malwek. I'm gonna take a quick sip. Oh no, no I'm not. No sip of water. Hang on. I am gonna take a sip of water. I'm trying to find some good spots where I can hit him with my magic. You'd think it'd be during the scream, but basically during the scream I have to jump up, hit, and have the projectile travel the distance, which I'm assuming either requires precision reflexes, which I don't have, or a better way of anticipating when he's going to do that. I say he, but isn't this like a Vengefly mother? Okay, I'm getting back to carelessness again. If I get hit by one of the Vengefly babies, I have to declare Chapter 11. That would have been a good time to try the Hadouken. Same mistake as last time. Well, like last run, running into the direction they're going. That's a little bit better. That is careless. Maybe I could try using the Vengeflies to like jump on top, or like the baby Vengeflies to jump on top. Aha! I knew there was something to that. Well, didn't know. I had an intuition. So being a little bit more cautious on trying to get these extra hits in, just because I can see that I'm not playing as well as I would have been a little bit earlier. So I'm trying to minimize the number of like reckless mistakes. I'm still making them, and every once in a while something looks like a good opportunity that I either fail to pull off or something gets in the way. Dung Defender was a really good example of that one. Like that was a really rough round, which probably shouldn't have been. But part of that is just trying to, like, I've definitely beaten tough stuff like the Trial of the Colosseum of Fools. I've beaten stuff like that at that state, and it's just been a question of making sure that I recognize it and that I'm not, like, I can't get away with doing, you know, really flashy stuff, for lack of a better term. It's just kind of a question of being honest with myself about when I should, you know, when I should pull back and you know, not try to get that greedy extra hit, and instead focus on, you know, kind of the meat and potatoes attacks. Also, the fact I get hit by that at all is evidence of my diminished capabilities. Also, my arms are actually kind of feeling a little sore, but that's not... Sore arms are not an excuse. I've been in pain while streaming before, so... I am, however, not thinking clearly on some stuff for sure. Also, just little signals, like the fact that I still am in the habit of jumping whenever he does one of those attacks. Ugh. That's just kind of a good example of cases where I'm not really... I'm sort of automatically reacting without necessarily considering the context. For some fights, it's not a problem. Some fights I can get through it. Other fights, it winds up being the sort of thing that cascades into a loss. All right, I want to see if I can get some early hits on the Moss Charger. Cool. Oh, come on! I avoided jumping into that guy so many times, and now, Alright, that wasn't too bad. Nuts. What was I thinking? I thought I might have been a little early on that heal, but... That's the brass bit I'm talking about, by the way. or was talking about. Ah, I'm back to walking into enemies. That was stupid. If she's starting an attack, I can't start a heal. If she's in the middle of one, I can sort of afford it, depending on the attack, but anything else is just wishful thinking. Again, walking into the... Okay, that was pure... I don't know what that was. There we go. Alright, well, I'm gonna run a bath so that I can live action the hot springs. See you all in an hour. Ah! I gotta stop this. That was very lucky. Okay, I've gotten pretty lucky on some of these spikes so far. Hopefully the luck holds out. Or I just end the fight, but... There we go. Oh, that's bad. Okay, it's a bit of a wash now. He's drunk with power! Ah! Nuts. That's 2 health, I'm down. Ooh, not a good start. I should have healed there. Ole. Should have healed. So we're basically back to where I wanted to be at the start of this fight. As long as I kind of keep my head, I should be fine. Okay. Let's see how we do. Okay, that was dumb. That was double dumb. Can't do that in swiping range. I'm getting greedy on some of this. Ugh. Oh man, that was really, really stupid. I'm not quite ready to call it yet, but that might have cost me the run, depending on how desperate I am near the end. Oof. Not looking good. So I'm gonna try and be... Oh, yeah, I can't be conservative, otherwise I'm just gonna keep making mistakes. I think he's also changed up his patterns a little bit. Health is back, so I've reset the error that I made earlier. That was indecisive. Okay, this is going to be tough but manageable. Ugh. Kind of kept me at bay with some of the movements there. Okay, good. That felt a little hairy there, but... Why hast thou crept into this pantheon, O meager one? The noise of thine ringing creates much discord, drowning out the godly resonances we attune ourselves to. Dost thou mean to thwart our sacred goal? Dost envy drive thou to such madness? We pray that the gods of this kingdom punish thee, obliterate thee, utterly destroy thee. Creep on, meager one, and may the gods utterly destroy thee. O gods of Hallownest, show us your might. We shall attune ourselves to thee and ascend ever higher. Uh-oh.
Yes,
Oh no! I thought I was done. That was stupid to even try. Why did I think standing in the middle of his body would help? Oh boy. Man, I think this is a little bit like the trials where like you don't have an idea of where the end is gonna come, so... Oh god. Well, that sort of tells me something. The theory that there is at least one boss I've not touched yet helps out. So I'm assuming that each one of these is a... I'm assuming that each one of these is a... these doors is a nail master that I'll face at the end. But this does lend credence to the idea that there is a boss in the... There's a boss in the main game that I have not yet come after. All right. I do kind of feel like... I don't know, I think a couple more passes and I'd be able to take the Nail Master out. I don't think I'm going to have healing opportunities, but I also don't think there's any attacks that I've seen there that with like just sensible, like, don't panic, it can't hurt you if it doesn't touch you thinking wouldn't handle. Unfortunately, I also don't think I'm in a frame of mind to be able to handle that. But I will admit, I had completely forgotten about that. I know I had found the simple key. I had completely forgotten that there was something locked away in the pipes. So that's encouraging. What is not so encouraging is the idea that there is a boss apparently somewhere in the map that I have not yet encountered. So I have a feeling that that's gonna be a bit of a challenge. And then, of course, like the fact of the matter is that this, I suspect, is going to be very difficult. I have a feeling there's probably going to be a couple of streams dedicated to to fighting the bosses and then whatever nail masters associated with them. But I mean I always have the option of going onto the Hollow Knight. I've chosen this path, and every time we've encountered something like this, we've always overcome it. Maybe not with the speed that I would normally want. Oh, we're on 103%. I wonder what got me. I guess there's also the two other charms, so I guess maybe one of the charms might be behind the boss that I haven't run into yet. Let's see if there's anything that achievements can tell us. So all the mask charms, first charm. So yeah, we haven't gotten all the charms, and we won't be able to get the last notch until we have that. Apparently we're still sitting on Vessel Fragments 2. Hidden achievements. We're definitely not going to get neglect. So Keen Hunter and True Hunter, I feel, are things we'll handle. All right, let's see who is online. That's a depressing viewer number I just saw. All right. Cheers for the stream. Sorry, Major Lurk was doing a WoW raid. No problem at all. I hope that was a chance to do it with Miss Ariella. I think I saw her playing the WoW of Warcraft not too long ago. But yeah, thank you everybody for watching. It looks like, at least at the end of this, a little bit more of a modest stream, but that is not a problem, because I know there are a few of you that actually really like Hollow Knight, and specifically like seeing me play Hollow Knight, so I don't necessarily do this for the numbers. There are a couple of people who I want to shout out as streaming right now. I don't always get a chance to host... I don't always get a chance to host everyone that I want. Like, I'm spoiled for choice here. I think I know who I am gonna host tonight. But first of all, Valiant Cheese is doing some art. I suspect he's probably working on his Bone Sweeper game. He was also streaming at the start of my run, so I don't know how much longer he's going to be working on this. But I believe he is probably, if I suspect, well, I can just check. Yeah, he's in Blender right now. So for those of you who do like to see game development stuff, Valiant Cheese is not just good at sharing his process, he's really good at sort of removing maybe some of the more opaque bits in terms of design, and he's got some talent in just about everything, so you get to sort of see how all the parts come together. I definitely recommend checking out his stream if you like game development, and he does also have a very good game, Hive Time, which is a pay-what-you-want game on itch. Apocalypse is out, I think, yeah. Now, Apocalypse is playing Apex Legends, which is the game that I'm going to wind up hosting. Apocalypse is a really wonderful streamer, somebody I found through XCOM Chimera Squad, and probably I would have hosted her because I get a chance to... I don't always get a chance to do that, but Brian on the Rocks is in fact a designer on Apex Legends, and I know he has been making an effort to sort of kind of stream a little bit more regularly, and also to be able to answer to people. So, you know, everybody kind of says, is like, oh, why don't you work on the servers? You know, those kinds of statements. Brian has answers for that. They do in fact work on the servers. Oddly enough, multiplayer games do look at that. But it's actually a really great example of a developer. Like, this is somebody who works on a very popular game where there's a lot of people who will sort of think that they're screaming into the void when they write tweets to the account and such. Brian is a great example of the fact that people read those tweets, and he's really open about process. He's not going to tell you anything that hasn't been announced about Apex Legends yet. He's a really nice guy. I met him when he was running a bar called EXP. And I figure it's not always a chance to get to host a Apex Legends designer. So there's a couple of other streamers that you might want to check out. Brian gets the host for now. I will possibly be back on Monday for Phantom Brigade. Definitely back on... Or will I be back on Wednesday? I need to see whether or not there is the dirty... No, it's the first one. Okay, I will definitely be back for Wednesday. Possibly Industries of Titan on that one. And then, of course, for those of you who are here for Hollow Knight, Friday night, we will either resume these tournaments or we're going to go on a quest to try and find that last boss. Either way, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.